Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you guys. Today we have another deck profile for a brand new deck that I've recently built, and that is going to be Phantom Knights. This is a deck that I was actually planning on building before Prank Kids, believe it or not. This was actually going to be the next new deck that I was going to go into, but while opening packs for this, I actually pulled an Instant Fusion, which then I was like, okay, yep, just going into Prank Kids. Like, I was kind of looking for any excuse to go into Prank Kids, really, and as soon as I saw that Instant Fusion, I was like, okay, yep, Prank Kids are happening, so. But I did end up keep pulling packs for Phantom Knights, and I ended up finishing the deck. I think the only things I had to craft when all was said and done was, I did have to craft the Rusty Bardish. I never ended up pulling that. I crafted the Rhongo, and what was it? Oh, the Tour Guides, that's right. I was actually originally planning on playing a build that did not have any tour guides, because when I first build a deck, I'll usually only build a version that uses everything that is absolutely necessary, and then cards that are like not fringe options, because tour guide isn't a fringe option. It does see play in, I think, just over 50% of Phantom Knights decks, if I recall the deck breakdown on Master Duel meta correctly, but you know, I'll set aside some ultra rares that are maybe not necessary to play in the deck and save those to then see if I really like the deck. But again, I end up pulling, like, I know I pulled the Arc Rebellion, and I pulled a Cherubini, and I also even pulled, let's see here. Yeah, while pulling packs, I also ended up managing to pull both a Dark Rebellion and a Dark Requiem, so we can try out a variant that uses those at some point down the road as well. And yes, you know, as I mentioned earlier, I am using the variant with Rhongo here, good old Rhongo Bongo. You know, people have some pretty divisive opinions about this card, and I completely understand the frustration surrounding it. You know, it is, at the end of the day, really frustrating to have a card that you're really not able to do anything against. There are, I don't know what they are off the top of my head. I know there are like a few outs to Rhongo, but they're pretty like niche, you know. So I understand, and I do agree with that sentiment to a degree. Even like, I do think it's a little bit unfair to have a card that is unaffected by card effects and forbids your opponent from normal or special summoning. Honestly, it's such a toss-up though, right? Because despite having such a powerful tool, we've seen Phantom Knights consistently stay at tier 3 for like the entirety of Master Duel's existence so far. I don't think the deck has ever once crept up even into tier 2, to be honest. I think it's pretty firmly tier 3. I don't necessarily think it goes down necessarily to rogue level, but yeah, I don't know. It's such an interesting, it's kind of like a, well, not catch-22, don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but like, you have this deck that's really not that oppressively strong, but this one card in it that can be very frustrating to play against. So, you know, in the event that Rhongo gets banned, or maybe even just as like a fun video, I might show you like a quote-unquote, because I actually don't think there's anything wrong with playing like Rhongo. I mean, obviously I'm playing it here, but even before I was playing it, you know, it's like I've said with Drytron, like, I don't bemoan Drytron players, right? I don't play Drytron, but like, if people want to play Drytrons and, you know, Turbo Out Herald of Ultimateness or Perfection, that's, you know, that's their business, you know, go for it. It's legal to do in the game, and it's a perfectly valid strategy, and as unfun as it can be to play against sometimes, it's really just, you know, on us to be able to be prepared for the meta to a degree. Obviously there are tools in Drytron that I do think need to be dealt with, even Ben 10, but this video isn't about Drytron though. This video is about Phantom Knights. So in this video, I'm going to go through the deck card by card as always. I'll explain the functions of each card individually, kind of, maybe not as I'm going through the deck, but we'll go back through it. And then we're going to be seeing some replays in which I show off a couple of simple combos and maybe a couple of other extra games as well. So let's go through the list card by card. We have 3 Maxx, 2 Tour Guide from the Underworld. As an aside, I think I would like to have 3 copies of this, but as I mentioned earlier, you know, when I'm feeling out a deck, I don't necessarily craft everything I want for it right off the bat, so this might end up being 3 later. We'll see. It's 2 for now. 2 Tour Guide, 1 Graff, Malbrance of the Burning Abyss, 1 Seer, Malbrance of the Burning Abyss, 2 the Phantom Knights Ancient Cloak, 3 the Phantom Knights of Silent Boots, 1 the Phantom Knights of Ragged Gloves, 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, 2 Danger, Jackalope, 2 Danger, Tsuchinoko, sorry. 1 Psychic Wheeleder. 1 Psychic Tracker, 1 the Phantom Knights of Stained Greaves, I believe. Yes, Greaves. 3 the Phantom Knights of Torn Scales, 1 Nibiru, the Primal Being, 1 Harpie's Feather Duster, 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 1 Lightning Storm, 2 Emergency Teleport, 2 Call by the Grave, 2 Forbidden Droplet, 1 Phantom Knight's Wing, 1 Phantom Knights, the Silent, or no, the, is it Shade Brigadine, that's what it is. And 2 Phantom Knights Fogblade. Down here in the extra deck, we've got a number F0 Utopic Future, number F0 Utopic Draco Future, 2 Levier the Sea Dragon, 2 of the Phantom Knights of Breaksword. I always forget their names slightly. I don't know, something about Phantom Knights. 1 number 75 Bamboozling Gossip Shadow, 1 number 86 Heroic Champion Rhongo Miad, I think. Rhongo Bongo. We all know Rhongo Bongo. 1 Raiders Knight, 1 Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon, 1 Divine Arsenal Zeus Sky Thunder, 1 Cherubini Ebon Angel of the Burning Abyss, 1 the Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardish, 1 Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, and then finally 1 Access Code Talker. Alright, now that we've gone through the list card by card, like I said, let's go ahead and talk about the functions of all the cards in the deck. Tour Guide and the Phantom Knights of Torn Scales are going to be our combo starters. With Tour Guide alone, you can actually end on Utopic Draco Future plus Appaloosa. You can do the same thing with the Phantom Knights Torn Scale plus any level 3 extender, that being like Phantom Knights of Silent Boots, one of your Psychic monsters, an E-Tell you to get a Psychic monster, one of your Dangers that managed to summon itself. And then with Tour Guide plus, again, any level 3 extender, I believe with Tour Guide you can also open Fogblade as well for this combo. That's what allows you to go into good old Rhongo Bongo here. And with the Torn Scales, you need Torn Scales, an extender, and Fogblade, or like another good card to discard, like Ancient Cloak, or I think Ragged Gloves might work. It's a little hard to explain exactly what you mean by that without seeing the deck in action. So kind of like I plan on doing with Prank Kids, haven't yet made that one at this time, but like with that deck, with this deck, once I get more experience with it, I would love to make a combo guide for it. I love making the visual combo guides in the solo mode of Master Duel, because I personally learn combos best by like watching them played out as opposed to reading them on like a list or something. So, and also it helps having the combo explained as it's being shown as well. So that's why I'd like to make those videos for you guys as well. So yep, like I said, when I get some more experience, I would love to establish a Phantom Knights combo guide as well. Let's see here. We've got the Burning Abyss monsters. These are going to be used in order, or rather in conjunction with your Cherubini here. Cherubini is going to always be the first, well, most of the time, pretty much always going to be the first like extract monster you go into with either your Tour Guide or your Torn Scales plus Extender. You will then go into Cherubini, and then you can get with this effect the Graff, or if you summon Tour Guide, you can just Tour Guide for Graff, and then you can get a Seer, and then instead you can send, or not get a Graff, but send a Graff to get a Seer, or if you have Tour Guide, you can just Tour Guide for Graff, and then you can use Cherubini to send like an Ancient Cloak or something. Either way, you're going to end up with Cherubini plus another monster on board, the Seer. You can link those into Phantom Knights Rusty Bardish. Then from there, you send, kind of what you send also kind of depends on what you have in hand at this point. Most of the time, you're going to be sending like a Ancient Cloak or Torn Scales in order to set a Shade Brigandine, which you are then going to flip in order to use for Xyz plays. This is one of your level 4s. The other level 4 that you're going to use is actually a level 3, funnily enough. It's Stained Greaves here. When a Phantom Knights monster is special summoned, you can special from your hand and then increase its level by 1. So when you flip up your Shade Brigandine, it comes out as level 4 monster. Then you can special the Stained Greaves in your hand as a level 4 monster as well. This can also just be summoned as a level 3. The effect to increase its level is optional. So in some niche hands, you can use this as an extender, but the vast majority of the time, you do want to save this to combo into a Rhongo Bongo as a level 4 monster. Also, if you're playing Dark Rebellion and Dark Requiem, you want to use this as a level 4 to then go into those cards. So let's see here. Like I kind of touched on earlier, we're also playing a fair amount of level 3 extenders. Again, your Danger Jackalopes and your Danger Tsuchinokos, as well as your Psychic Wielders, your Emergency Teleports to get your Psychic monsters. You could also play the Virtual World Nyan Nyan as a level 3 as well. I actually did have it in the build initially, and I think maybe in 1 or 2 of the replays we might see it being used. So if you're confused as to why you're seeing it in the replays but not in the deck, I had it in my first draft of the deck, but then I took it out for... I don't remember. I think it was like Lightning Storm or something. I'm pretty sure it was Lightning Storm, actually. Another card that I kind of want to fit in this deck is actually... oops, if I could spell correctly. Here we go. Crossout Designator. I thought long and hard about trying to, like, figure out some room for some crossout designators. Blech, I can't talk all of a sudden. I thought long and hard about finding room for at least a couple of crossout designators in this deck. Kind of considered playing them over the Forbidden Droplets, but I just value the Droplets interruption ability a lot, especially in this deck where, like, the only real other interruption we have is Phantom Knight's Fogblade. And being able to have an interruption that you can use as like a board break on your first turn, as with many decks, in this deck is very essential when going second. So if you have suggestions on maybe cards to replace to include Crossout Designator, as always, I am very much open to them down in the comments below. But yeah, so like I said, the level 3 extenders are mostly there to help us get out to like the Rhongo Bongo, or in the case of if you open Torn Scales, just, you know, make your plays that way. We are playing a usual suite of hand traps and other disruption cards. We're playing our 3 Maxx and 3 Ash and 2 Call By. We're pretty much playing those 8 cards, I think, just about every deck in Master Duel right now. Maybe not Call By in some decks, but in addition to that, we're playing a good old Droplet, a couple of copies of that, as well as Harpie's Feather Duster and Lightning Storm. I think if you're playing a combo-based deck, it's very important to have the Harpie's Feather Duster, the Lightning Storms, the Droplets, and the Call Bys to give yourself a fighting chance against hand traps and when you're going second. Similarly, I mean, you want the hand traps for the same reason. Oh, and then we're also playing 1 Nibiru, of course. As always, I always say it, if you're playing 3 Maxx, odds are you should very likely be playing a Nibiru as well, because if your opponent decides to take the Maxx challenge and summon a whole lot and get a board that kills you, it doesn't really do you any good to have Maxx if you're not having something that can stop your opponent from, you know, doing a situation like that. So, that's why, generally speaking, when possible, I always include a Nibiru, whatever I include 3 Maxx. Now, of course, there are some cases where you're not able to fit in a Nibiru. It's not always essential, but I highly recommend it if you're playing 3 Maxx. Oops, I almost took one out there. Yeah, I mean, looking over the deck here, I think I've covered just about everything in the main deck. We're playing Utopic Draco Future. It's possible to make that with the 2 Leviers that we have in here. Levier, even if you're not playing Utopic Draco Future, let's say you're playing like the Dark Rebellion and Dark Requiem instead of these 2, still probably want to have a Levier in your extra deck to recycle your cards and can also help you extend into some combos. We're playing 2 Phantom Knight's Breaksword. I see 2 copies of this in the vast majority of Phantom Knights decks, and this could very easily be my inexperience with the deck. I don't even know if I'm at 20 games with it yet, to be quite honest with you. Of course, I did my research and, you know, watched a bunch of gameplay videos on the deck beforehand, but yeah, I don't find myself making Breaksword like pretty much ever. So it might just be due to my inexperience, whether it's just due to the number of games I've played, like I've played too few to have seen enough scenarios where Breaksword is good. Or it could just be me not realizing that I'm in scenarios where making Breaksword would be very good. But I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of considering cutting down to 1 copy of this card. Again, if you have insights into Phantom Knights, if you're experienced with the deck, do let me know in the comments if that would be like a very wrong thing to do, to go down from 2 to 1 Breaksword. But yeah, even the 1, I don't know if I've even ever summoned it, so... But again, that could just be me doing things wrong. I could be wrong. Always open to that fact. You know what I mean. All right. Of course, Gossip Shadow, as we know, goes into Rhongo Bongo. Raider's Knight lets you go into Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon, which, if you're going second, can potentially OTK the opponent with his ability to gain the attack of every monster on board. It's not even really that hard to OTK with Arc Rebellion. But again, you do have to go, in this particular iteration, into Raider's Knight in order to summon it. If you're playing like a rank up spell, if you're playing Dark Rebellion, Dark Xyz, you can use that, I believe, to go into Arc Rebellion too. But yep, like I said, for us, we use the Raider's Knight. Of course, we're playing Zeus because we're playing Xyz monsters. You don't really need it as much in this deck, especially if you're going first, but Zeus, as always, is another excellent going second card. And then, as I mentioned earlier, these are for comboing. Appaloosa, you can end on with a fair few number of combos, and of course, I mean, it's access code talker, right? Like, this card is just used to OTK a fair amount of the time. Alright, so that's a pretty solid breakdown, I think, of the deck itself. Now let's go ahead and take a look at a few replays that'll highlight some combos of the deck that, well, then I can show you that more in real time. Okay, so this replay is going to be against, actually, Black Wings of all decks, but it's only going to be a one-turn replay. This is mainly to show you the Torn Knights combo, or sorry, the Torn Scale. One of the Torn Scale combos here. So we're going to begin by summoning Torn Scales. I'll discard the Fog Blade to go into the Ancient Cloak. And because I opened with Torn Scales plus an Extender plus Fog Blade, I'm actually able to go into the Rhongo with this hand. So yep, we then link into the Cherubini, send the Graff, summon the Seer. Like I mentioned in the deck profile, I touched on this part of the combo line. We're then able to use those to go into our Rusty Bardish. Now from there we activate our Seer's effect to get back our Cherubini. This is actually an optional step here. You don't have to do this in order to complete the combo, but I like to do it because one, it's a free monster, you might as well summon it, and two, it's really handy to have a Link 2 monster out in case you get interrupted, you know, at some point during this combo. Obviously if you get Nibiru, this won't be the case, but sometimes if you get interrupted mid-combo, if you brought back the Cherubini, you can just like turn and just go into an Appaloosa instead, so it's nice to just have that as a side option. But just note that that is an optional step. You do not have to bring this back. So, like I mentioned with the Phantom Knights, we're going to set the Shade Brigandine. I sent the the Ragged Gloves to the graveyard in order to do that. We're then going to banish the Ancient Cloak in order to add the Stained Greaves to the hand. You're already starting to see that we've already set up the rank 4 here, so we can summon the Rhongo itself. Now we just need to set up a rank 3 in order to make the number 75 Bamboozling Gossip Shadow. And that's honestly a really easy way to think of this combo line, right? If you're having trouble just memorizing all the steps, if you think more in like generalist terms, if that helps you more, it's just like, oh, we just got to get like 2 level 3s and 2 level 4s out. It's not that hard to do, especially once you've established your Phantom Knight's Rusty Bardish here. So like I said, we're going to banish the Ancient Cloak to add the Stained Greaves here. Since we banished a Phantom Knight monster, we can then summon Torn Scales back from its own effect. That Fog Blade we discarded right at the beginning, we're now going to banish that in order to bring back the Ragged Gloves we sent with Rusty Bardish. Yeah, we'll special summon the Stained Greaves, increase it to level 4, and now you can see we've got 2 level 4s and 2 level 3s. That means we can overlay our level 3s into number 7 Bamboozling Gossip Shadow, and then our 2 level 4s into Rhongo Bongo. Then, of course, we all know what happens next, right? Bamboozling Gossip Shadow is going to use its ability to attach itself and its units to Rhongo to give it 5 materials, thus rendering our opponent unable to summon on their turn and making our monster unaffected by card effects. Of course, our opponent conceded before we could attach the number 75. Not that I blame them, of course, but yep, that is just the combo line in practice of how Torn Scales, a level 3 extender, and again, I used Fog Blade, but it's really just if you have a good discard target like Ancient Cloak, or I think Ragged Gloves will work as well. Then you can go into the 5 material Rhongo. Okay, let's look at another replay here. Okay, this game is going to be against another kind of rogue deck, Wind Witches here, but we're not actually here again for gameplay really. This is another, just showing off a combo line here. Here we will show off how to make Rhongo with Tour Guide plus an Extender. So we're going to normal summon our Tour Guide and we're going to get Graff. Now we're going to link the Tour Guide and the Graff again right into Cherubini. It's going to be the first extra deck monster we go into. Now, since we use Graff off of Tour Guide, we don't have to send Graff with Cherubini in order to summon the Seer. We just get it. So we can send Ancient Cloak instead. Now we pivot these two, as always, into our Rusty Bardish. And then we are going to use the Rusty Bardish's ability. Oh, and then of course we're going to do the optional play of bringing back the Cherubini again here. Now we're going to send Torn Scales this time in order to set the Silent Brigand in here. We're once again going to banish Ancient Cloak to add the Stained Greaves and then summon the Torn Scales back now that Ancient Cloak is banished. We'll then special summon the Torn Greaves, increasing its level. That hasn't changed. But now we're going to summon our level 3 extender. And I mean, once again, as you can see, it's really just all about getting... Oh, well, let me actually get the other level 4. Or I guess I go into the number 75 first, but... as you can see, once again, it's really just about how can we get 2 level 3s and 2 level 4s on the board. And, this is how we do it. Oh, I go for a little bit of extra flair here because I've got the the Ancient Cloak, but I actually screw up by summoning it in defense mode. If I had summoned the Ancient Cloak in attack mode, I could have used this effect to turn it to defense mode to give my Rusty Bardish an extra 800 attack points. So I actually screwed up my little extra flare I was going to do there. But, I mean, as you can see, I was literally about to exceed summon the Rhongo right when my opponent conceded. Once again, I don't blame them at all for that. But, yeah, again, that is the combo line to go with Tour Guide plus any extender into a Rhongo with 5 materials there. Once again, it's just easiest to think of how do we set up 2 level 3s and 2 level 4s. Or, again, some people might find it easier to think of it that way. So, okay, let's go ahead and watch an actual game this time. Okay, this game is going to be against elemental heroes. Or not, I mean, not elemental, heroes, you know. We all know them. We all love them. I love them, anyway. Alright, so I'm going to take the first turn here, and my opponent's going to fire off Maxx right away. I'm going to respond with Call By even though I've got Maxx in hand, just so I can combo off. But my opponent has the Ghost Bell. So, well, guess comboing is not happening this turn. I believe I actually could have gotten a Rhongo combo this turn. Because I do have the Phantom Knight's Wing, which I actually do end up discarding anyway, but then I'll just end my turn. But because I do have this, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I could have just gone into a full Rhongo combo there. But I did want to chance it, even though ending on Rhongo would cut my opponent off from doing a lot of stuff. I didn't know what my opponent was playing. And, like, with Maxx, it's so easy for your opponent to draw into Nibiru and just shut you down. I mean, if they're playing Nibiru, like, I think most people should be playing. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. So yeah, I just opted not to combo. You know, I've got a Maxx of my own. It's now live because my opponent negated the Call By with the Ghost Bell. So I'm not super duper worried about being able to, you know, have plays here. Opponent's going to attack my Torn Scales with Shadows and hit me with Varus. This is all fine because my graveyard is now, you know, more set up than it obviously was on my first turn. And I've got the level 3, yeah, I've got plays here. I can summon 2 level 3 monsters. Pretty much with this deck, if you can summon 2 level 3 monsters, then you have plays. So, Tsuchinoko is going to discard itself. Kind of unlucky, actually. If I'd hit one of the Silent Boots, I would have been able to draw an extra card. But the most important thing is that I got a level 3 monster onto the board. Torn Scales is going to bring itself back now that a Phantom Knight was banished. I'm then going to overlay the Silent Boost that I summoned with the Towards Scales, or not overlays, sorry. I'm going to link them into Cherubini, and then we see, you know, us milling the Ancient Cloak here. I didn't send the Graff because I already had the Tsuchinoko on board, so the Burning Abyss monsters are pretty xenophobic in that if you have non-Burning Abyss monsters on the board, they just destroy themselves, so... Yep, we're going to set up a Rusty Bardish here. I think I just sent another Torn Scales because I didn't really have much else to send at this point. We'll use the Ragged Gloves effect in order to set up a Fog Blade Engrave. We can summon back an Ancient Cloak. Again, I have a bad habit of actually summoning this Ancient Cloak in defense mode, when I should be summoning it in attack mode, and then turning it to defense mode to boost my Rusty Bardish. But the most important thing here is, hey, look at that, we got out 2 level 3s and 2 level 4s, and we all know what that means. It's Rhongo Bongo. Now, I do plan on kind of, I'm actually kind of wondering if you guys would be interested in seeing, like, I'm going to throw air quotes around this because I don't actually, you know, necessarily believe it's inherently toxic to play Rhongo Bongo in your deck. I think it's just optimal. But I kind of thought about making a quote-unquote non-toxic version of the deck that replaces Bamboozling Gossip, Shadow, and Rhongo with Dark Rebellion and Dark Requiem. So I guess if you guys are interested in seeing that, do let me know. I do in some capacity, in either way, plan on showing off the Dark Rebellion and Dark Requiem as well. But, yep, okay, yep, that is the duel against Harry there. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game. Okay, this duel is going to be against Sky Strikers. And I believe... It looks like I actually take the first turn here. Yep, I take the first turn. So we're going to begin by summoning our Phantom Knight's Torn Scales. As you can see, I've got a level 3 extender plus the Fog Blade, and we should well know what that means by this point. We have the ability to go into our Rhongo Bongo. And yep, as you can see there was the Nyan Nyan. I thought I remembered one of these replays having it, so... Yep, like I said, I don't have it in my current deck at this point. I don't think I even actually use its graveyard effect. That's actually why I took it out, was because I kept finding that I wasn't really able to use its because to use this graveyard, if you use its let me talk for a second here. If you use its graveyard effect to bring itself back, the Nyan Nyan here, you can only special summon level 3 or rank 3 monsters or higher for the rest of the turn, which means you can't link summon. And I just found that like the times when I did kind of need to bring Nyan Nyan back, I also still needed to link summon. So I do think it's still a fine card for the deck, but I just personally decided to take it out. And as I talked, you know, look, here we are. Here is our Rhongo Bongo combo. It's so, like... Man, watching the replays back, it's funny. I didn't think I just was winning with Rhongo this much, but, I mean, it's pretty clear that's the case. I thought I did win at least one of these games without it, but, I mean, again, it's the optimal way to play the deck right now. Like, the card is legal. It's very, very good in this deck. Like I said, there's no reason not to play it, so... Yep, as soon as I see the Foolish Bureau Goods and Metal Foes Fusion, I'm, you know, very confident in Sky Strikers. Opponent's going to pass, and then I'm going to have to detach material. It's a bit too bad. If I had 5 materials, I could have blown up my opponent's board, but, you know, it is what it is. So, I can't complain too much about having the Rhongo out. I'll send the Ancient Cloak. I'll set a Fog Blade, because I don't really have a whole lot better things to set here. Mostly just want to send the Ancient Cloak. Opponent's going to call by the Torn Scales. That's really fine with me. I'm not too concerned. I've already got my main combo pieces out, so at this point I'm just being extra and going for extra plays, and I can just normal summon a Torn Scales anyway. With another rank 3, I don't think it's going to be hard for me to find game. I can just make a Break Sword. Oh, here's what, you know what, it's because I could have made a Break Sword here to help me cinch the game, but my opponent conceded before I had the chance, so okay, I see. I did actually have an opportunity to make Break Sword, but alright, I've got one more replay for us to take a look at here. Alrighty, final duel here is going to be against... Ooh, I forgot to look. But I think it was Salamangreats, if I remember correctly. It was. Yeah, I looked at all the replays, the decks, before the video started. I'm pretty sure it was Salamangreats, so... We're going to start off with Tsuchinoko here. You see, this hand I actually didn't open Torn Scales or Tour Guide, so yeah, I thought there was at least one game here I had to kind of like... improvise and didn't open with Rhongo. At least maybe if I can find a way to open with Rhongo in this hand, I might be better with this deck than I thought. But I did actually open with Graff, and since I don't control any spell or trap cards, I can special summon Graff with its own effects. So that's a neat little thing you can do sometimes. If you open with Graff, you might not necessarily have to send the Graff with the Cherubini here. I think I sent what, Ancient Cloak instead. So, opponent's going to have an Imperm for the rest of the Bardish, which is going to more or less cut me off from doing anything else. I do have Wings and Fogblade both, so I'll set both of them. But my opponent has Harpie's Feather Duster, not that big of a deal. Still going to chain Wing, actually, because the attack buff that it gives is permanent. You don't have to keep Wings on the board. It just, you know, it gives the 500 attack. What's funny here, I think my opponent thought I was trying to special summon the Ancient Cloak, because they respond by called buying it away. But that wasn't at all what I was trying to do, but okay, you know, whatever. As you can see here, our Rusty Bardish did manage to keep the attack upgrade, but it's going to then reveal themselves as the Salamangreat deck, using Salamangreat Falco to summon a Banelynx and then put it back. I don't know, I guess they didn't really end up doing a whole lot there. I didn't even really get an opportunity to use my Ash Blossom, but... Well, okay, now I can go ahead and activate my Rusty Bardish's effect. Sending an Ancient Cloak in order to set the Shade of Brigandine. I'm then going to summon back an Ancient Cloak. And look, I remember to summon an attack mode this time. Oh, but then the effect was negated. Of course, just my luck. What can you do? Oh, I do make Break Sword. Okay, so maybe I was just kind of tripping when I was talking about Break Sword not being, like, never making it. I guess it was just selective memory. But that's actually like a good real-life example of selective memory and why you can't use your own personal experiences as your only gauge of how a deck works or how the meta is working, right? Because we will often misremember things and then have skewed, incorrect opinions. I mean, opinions aren't inherently correct or incorrect. Never mind, but you know what I mean. We are not having those like skewed opinions that are coming from like a false place, right? Like we're seeing clear representation in data that we don't see in our own memory, as I clearly demonstrated here live. Well, not live, but on a video. So okay, that's all the replays I've got for you with the deck. Let's go ahead and take another look at the list as we move on to the outro. Alrighty guys, so those were the replays there with the Phantom Knights deck. You saw a couple of combos just to start off, and then we got into some real games, although, you know, for the most part, we just kind of made Rhongo and then Wongoed. That was bad. I shouldn't laugh at that. Anyway, let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. I am actually really liking this deck. I'm not, like, as in love with it as I am with, like, Prank Kids right now. I fucking love Prank Kids, but I love this deck, too. This deck is pretty rad, and I honestly built it because I've said this a million times in videos and or streams now, but, you know, the last IRL event I played in was a regional, and I used a PK Fire deck. This was in 2017, if I recall correctly. And I just really like the Phantom Knights cards. I also really like the character in the show that used them, Yuto. So that obviously also contributed a little bit there too. But I don't know, I just like the idea of Phantom Knights, like, you know, just these spirits that inhabit the, you know, crappy armor they used to wear when they were alive. I don't know, it's just cool. And I like the playstyle too. I just love, like, Break Sword, especially in terms of, like, the card, what it does, its art. I love this card's art. Yeah, Phantom Knights are rad. I really, really like Phantom Knights, and you will definitely be seeing more of them here in the new season, because if I'm planning this out correctly, this video should actually be coming out towards the end of Season 4. So into Season 5, after we've done our climbing with our main decks that we'll be using to ladder this upcoming season, then when we get into Plat 1 and we're able to play a little bit more loosely, we will move into Phantom Knights again for sure. I would definitely love to put out some more gameplay videos and maybe, again, even a combo guide when I get more familiar with the deck in the future. So, as always, I want to thank you guys so very much for watching, especially all the way to the end of the video like this. That means a lot to me. I'm also appreciative if you're commenting and subscribing. The comments are awesome. I have some awesome commenters. I love interacting with you guys and taking your suggestions and just seeing your insights into my gameplay and deck choices and possible alternatives I hadn't considered. It's very, very helpful and very much helps me to grow as a player. And yeah, if you want to follow my videos and get the latest on when they drop, subscribing is of course going to be the best way to do that. Don't feel like you have to though. I mean, honestly, if you're watching again, especially at the end like this, that's far more than enough for me. Without further ado though, this is XLex signing out. I hope you guys have a fantastic day.